The views and opinions expressed on the Craig L. Hayes Show are not necessarily those of Westgate Resort's ownership or management. And now, on with the show.
This is the Craig L. Hayes Show.
And welcome back, everybody. We're here on episode 3 with Don Toto, a longtime stagehand here in Las Vegas, working out of Local 720 and a lot of showrooms that a bunch of them don't exist anymore. And we're talking a little bit about doing Starlight Express and going from there into Barry Manilow. But, Starlight Express is a good place to go back to and talk a little bit about that, because it wasn't just Starlight Express. I don't know if you remember this. We used to do the Friday night live shows, on our day off. We had Friday nights off, and then we would do a concert, whether it was Creedence Clearwater Revisited or it was REO Speedwagon, or it was a variety of a bunch of different people would come in there and take away our day off, basically. And so we had to do 7 days a week instead of our normal 6, and 6 days a week is absolutely normal back in the day. But it was an overtime day. We all got extra money for it. None of us really complained. We could always use a couple extra bucks. Did you enjoy doing those, the live, the concerts? Basically, we're doing concerts.
Yeah, they were acts that I had enjoyed hearing their music over the years, and now they were performing in the showroom where I was, so they would bring their show here, and it gave us a relief from doing the production show, the same production show night after night, but they would also bring in and utilize the lighting equipment that we had in this theater, which was an extensive full lighting truss. They would come in and look up at, the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of sets of lights that were above the stage and went around the stage, hung on ladders, and be amazed and leave their equipment in the truck, or we would work their lighting in with our lighting. So it was always an interesting. It was a lot of fun to do that, to load them in the morning, rehearse them, program them into our consoles, and create different looks for their songs with the lights that we had for Starlight Express.
Yeah, and then take it all out and be back the next day and start Starlight Express all over again for another, 6 days of shows. The thing that people don't realize is how many lights you actually had up there.
Well, there were quite a few. I think at one point, I think 1,500. And it could have been more because I never did go and count every.
That was in the air,
single.
Not counting the 800 and something that were in the floor on
Yes,
top of that.
There were 4 colors of small lighted 4-color ACLs that the skaters would skate over the top of them, and we could do different lighting effects with those lights in the floor. We also had mini strips. We had illuminators that changed color on fiber optic lines that were like the railroad ties, because the show was basically a railroad show. It was the little engine who could set to Andrew Lloyd Webber's beautiful music. I mean, it was a light. It wasn't as heavy as Phantom of the Opera or Evita or some of his other musicals. It was light and easygoing, and it was a lot of fun. The characters were all dressed up as different trains, and they had races And so, yeah, there were quite a few lighting instruments, both in the front of house and embedded in the stage floor, and wherever we could put lights, we put them. And as the years went by, we continued to add more and more lighting fixtures. I don't think I ever knew the exact number, but it was at least 1,500 or greater.
Yeah.
Most of them were, of course, conventional lighting. Now it's all digital automated lighting, and
Yeah,
you don't
robotics
need
and-
that.
But it was amazing. It was one of the most amazing, lighting systems in town or country, whatever. I mean, it was a full-fledged 1980s silver rock and roll spider truss, and just like you say,
Circular
1,500 lights,
Yep.
and it was just everything you could think of up in the air. And then you'd always go get more fixtures and tell Ed Shower and I, can you guys put another pipe between this over and here and this? 'Cause I want to add some more. And it's like, you're going to add more. Okay.
Well, because one of the types of lights that we liked were the aircraft landing lights, which had a very narrow and uh, distinct beam that would go through. And because you needed to have symmetry, well, and they were in groups of 4. So if you added one color on one side or 2 colors, that's 8 fixtures. Well, on the opposite side, you needed 8 to balance that out. And so every color possible, see, now we have LED fixtures that mix an infinite variety of colors, but back then, if you wanted different colors, you had scrollers, which had gel frames and gel in them and little motors that would turn them, and other types of units that would do that. But for the most part, we used gel and color media, and we just hung more lights to get all the colors that we needed or wanted.
And then the end of the lighting truss came.
It did, and it was eventually necessary for Barry Manilow's shows more like a standard proscenium theatrical presentation with drops and flying in set pieces, which we couldn't do with that truss underneath the wonderful counterweight system, double purchase counterweight system that was here, or even a winch system, because it was so dense with cable and truss parts and lighting fixtures. So we had to change the look. And so the truss sadly had to be dismantled and removed. We integrated parts of it into Barry's first show. Many of the ladders, the gorilla racks, those which are still hanging upstage right now as we speak, unused but available, were put in one of Barry's songs as a very powerful moment in the song. I write the songs. We would fly in this wall of lighting that would come in. But it was time for different looks, and with automated lighting becoming brighter and projection and digital art becoming more important to the variety of the looks of the show, it was time for an evolution. And sadly, that's when I was here, and that's what I saw happen.
Yeah, eventually, and now they don't even make those lamps anymore. The par your par lamps and stuff anymore. So those are all gone. So the ones we have up there basically are all that are left to utilize. So, And the spare bulbs that we have, that's it. Because when they're gone, they're gone. There's no more to be bought, no more to replace. You know, they're such a great light. You know, par lamps are such a great light.
Well, they had a variety of,
You know,
of not intensities, but spreads, beam spreads. And so you could use one fixture and then change to a medium or a wide or a narrow and get different looks from it.
Yep.
But they did occupy a lot of space and they did draw a lot of power.
A lot of power. You have more power up and more electrical available up in that room, up in the showroom above us than I can't imagine any place having more. I think we added it up one time, and you had like 5,000 amps, 3 legs coming in, so 15,000 amps available for you anywhere on
On
the stage.
Backstage, yes.
That's ludicrous.
It is, but then there would be productions that would come in, such as Wheel of Fortune,
And use every bit of it.
and use all of it and ask for more. They always wanted more. They would set generators up and bring in even more power, backup power, and
Yeah, that was power hungry. Yeah.
but now the fixtures use a lot less, and so the risk of fire from overloading circuits and arcing and a lot of those problems are no longer prevalent.
Yeah.
So it's much safer now. But the variety of looks, colors, and patterns, it's what you always wanted and were trying to get with conventional lights, but it did take moving lights and their absolute variety of patterns, gobos, and colors and movement that made a big difference. Barry's current show is absolutely gorgeous. It has a variety of looks. They're all focused on him and around the stage, so it's been a great improvement.
And like for you, eventually everyone moves on. You go and you retire, and then you get a call from somebody here at the hotel saying, "Hey, Don, you ever thought about coming back and running a spotlight for the new Barry Manilow show 9 years later?"
And being retired meant that I wasn't doing shows particularly, although having friends in the business, they would always ask if I were available. And so I did work some shows in different theaters around town. And eventually, as you get older, the skill level for the operation of the digital consoles seemed to pass me by. And but operating a spotlight was something that I had skill not only in doing, but telling people what I wanted as a designer. So I became a perfect spotlight operator for handling older instruments that were on a show that I knew the lighting for intimately, which was Barry's show.
Yeah.
And so it gave me an opportunity to get back in the business a little bit, and on occasion, without having to do the physical work, just operating a light during a show. And I've had a lot of fun, and I take pride in that right now.
Yeah. Well, I was glad to call you back because, we get into that spotlight thing, and I'm like, who else can we have come in here that could run a good spot? And, and you start thinking about it, and eventually I get that thing. I go, well, we got a lot of these guys that retired that have worked here in the past. And, and to me, the retired guys are a huge benefit because they don't have to go out and make, heavy living. They kind of like coming in doing a 4-hour call, running a spot, and going home. Done. Whereas, the younger guys that are still trying to make a living, it's, you can't get a commitment from them to come and do, uh, you know, Manilow shows for just 4 hours, because it's not any big money. But for the retired guys, it's a good deal, you know.
It is a good deal, and for me, it just maintained my connection with theater and show business that I really started at some age in the mid 1960s, and now close to 60 years later, I'm still active in the business, uh, working not only Barry's show when he comes in, but also another show at another room that is also an old style show with traditional lighting cues and spotlight instruments that that is really a lot of fun and high action and good to do on occasion as well. So I kind of put the skills that I learned over the years to good use and enjoy going to a showroom for several hours and then going home to my wonderful wife and family.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Now you get to pick and choose. You and Jerry get to pick and choose all the shows you want to do and work them if you want, and if you don't want, you don't. It makes it simple. Before we wrap this up, it sounds like we're getting close to wrapping this up. Any shows that really stick out in your mind that you really, really enjoyed doing,
There was a Broadway musical that came into the Hilton called Rent, and I found that to be a very interesting and well done show. The country acts that we had during a period of our time, Reba McEntire, and I see Alan Jackson's picture up there, and there were several others that came in during that time. I find those to be extremely well done, but I guess the overall best show would have to be Brooks and Dunn. To me, that was the most fun, the best songs, great lighting. They used the lighting rig that we had to its fullest for that entire show, and so if I have to pick one, it would be Brooks and Dunn.
They had everything in the kitchen sink in their show. Those guys just came up with the craziest concepts and put it to work, and they made everyone just, if you went away from one of their shows and you weren't just smiling and having a good time, your life had to be just miserable, period, because they made a fun show. Just it was a party, as they would say, backstage before they go out, and because we get to talk to the guys back there, and when we're down here on deck, and they go, "Yeah, our show's basically high-tech redneck show. That's our show."
But it did make people happy.
It was fun.
Barry's show makes people happy.
Oh boy, does it!
The women, even the men that come to see the show, they stand up. They're really excited. At the end, they walk out. They've had a night of entertainment, and Brooks and Dunn show was the same way. It was just a different type of songs.
Yeah, different songs, but
different
still,
music.
Barry is a master entertainer. He knows how to put on a show. He is a master at that stuff, And I loved working with him because he's a perfectionist. He wants it over and over and over until it's like on the money, practicing how, everything. I love working with people like that. I love people that just are going for perfection in their shows, Any shows stand out as far as being the ones you didn't enjoy? We've done a few really bad ones
We have done a
over
few
the over
bad
the
ones.
years where you just sit there and go, really, we're doing this? But I don't really try to name any of them
No.
myself, because it's that's not fair to them at the same time. But there are some you just shake your head and go, what were y'all thinking? You know, and people go, well, maybe it's just not your taste. I go, well, it's obviously a lot of people's taste because it'll only here for a week or two, and then it closed because no one came to see it. So
I think there were some television personalities that tried to do a live uh, show and weren't too successful with the comedy uh, of it. But I think comedy in general was fun for people who want to laugh and have a good time. But some of the television people that try to cross over into live entertainment, I don't think their shows were that successful. But the audience was always entertained in some way. So
the ones that I always found that were fun were Tim Conway and Paul, not
yeah,
Paul Harvey.
I can't.
Oh man, I had the name and I was ready to give it to it. So, anyways, when they came in here, it was just like watching the Carol Burnett show again, and it was a blast.
It's a
Harvey
shame we
Korman,
can't.
Harvey Korman, good grief,
Yep.
terrible.
And they gave us a wonderful jacket, which I still wear because it's an all-weather jacket. But they were a fun. That was a class show that.
And the Smothers Brothers too. We've done some that were just a lot of fun and just old Vegas fun.
Yes.
We've done a lot of new Vegas vulgar. We've had plenty of those going on in our room. The comedians.
Well, I worked comedy shows, the Comedy Store at the Dunes for many years, and they were classic Andrew Dice Clay, Sam Kinison, the Outlaws of Comedy, who would come in and be vulgar, but the audience that would come to see them would be, for the most part, entertained.
Yep.
And it's our job to enhance the show and to make it look as good as it can for the benefit of the audience. And that's what I've tried to do in any position that I am connected with in this, in any production, to do the best that I can do so that the audience is not aware of what we do. It's just enjoying the performance.
Just a real quick question for you. True or false? There's no business like show business.
Well, there are other businesses that are more serious and more businesses that make a bigger presentation to society, but we are in entertainment. And for a brief moment, we help people lose their troubles and enjoy a moment of happiness. And so, from that point of view, it's been exciting. It's been technically challenging. It's been an artistic expression. I've had quite a few experiences with many good people over the years, and I'm happy to have lived my life as a theatrical stage employee in many capacities, and I continue to do so, and probably will never quite retire.
Fully retire, yeah.
Fully retire.
No, I don't blame you. No, there's no business like the one we have. Making, doing stuff that brings people happiness for a few hours. It's the greatest job in the world. And now that I'm one of the retired guys too, and I'm going to try not to go back to work and do all those deals like everyone else seems to want to do. Try to stay away from it and But this seems to be something I'm quite enjoying doing the podcast. But Don, I want to thank you for joining me today.
You're welcome, Craig. It was an honor to be here, and I'm glad to share my stories with your audience. And
Hopefully we grow this audience. We get more and more people listening to this, and some of the youth that are going into show business will listen to some of these things and the stories and the things that go on. There's a whole bunch that goes on behind the curtain, and that's what I want to talk about is what goes on behind the curtain.
the people that have enjoyed a life, a successful life, even though we worked many days of the week and many hours in the day, some of us were able to have families and live somewhat normal lives, and it's been a good life. So
I agree.
encourage people to have something different. It may not be medical science or engineering or education, but it certainly was a good ride and a lot of fun.
Absolutely. I'm right there with you, and hopefully you get to do what you enjoy for many more years. And as I come back, I'll find out that you're still up there running Spotlight for years to come. And well, if you enjoy it, it's not like going to work. It's like going and doing something you enjoy doing and getting paid for it. So it's good. The best of both worlds right there.
It is the best of both worlds.
So anyways, that is the end of this show with Don Toto. I've enjoyed having him here, and looking forward to other episodes with other fellow stagehands and talking about their experiences and their lives and what they've done. There is so much that we can talk about, and everyone's experience is unique and personal and valued to them. And I want to hear from all these people about those experiences. So until then,
This is the Craig L. Hayes Show.
all right.
All right. Well, good.